time, so AI gets a F for fail.
So I don't think anybody needs to worry about AI taking over pattern writing anytime soon. Hi, and welcome to Yarn ChickHen. I'm Mrs. T.
And we're all the friends.
So, Mr. T, what are we going to talk about in today's episode?
Well, today is episode 12, Mrs. T. And today we're going to talk about AI patterns and punk chick, failed shopping haul, Mr. T's absolute beginner's corner, and lastly, Scottish word of the day. Over to you, Mrs. T.
Thank you, Mr. T. So, top of our list, it's punk chick. And if you're wondering what punk chick is, it's all about AI.
Yes.
So, Mr. T, would you like to explain to us why punk chick came into existence and why we're talking about AI and punk chick?
Yes, if you look at what's on the screen now, you'll see an image that Google Gemini, which is the AI LLM model, I think that's what you call it, that I use, is the Google Gemini one. And I was playing around with our logos and merchandise, and I said, in response to a question that asked me, I said, yes, could you knock up some logoed merch for us? And it popped up with that picture on the screen as you see now. And I thought, ooh, that's quite funky looking little chick hen on the left hand side. So I asked Gemini to knock up a pattern. Well, it actually asked me if it wanted a pattern for Mrs. T to make. So here is the pattern on the screen now. Now Mrs. T made this pattern and punk chick was born. Over to you.
Well, you've seen the photo, so you've seen what the pattern was supposed to look like, because that was the specific question, is to make the pattern for that. So when I crocheted up the pattern, this is what I got.
If you could just lift it up a little bit. There you go.
Now I followed it exactly. I didn't do any rogue like I would normally do. I didn't rogue or anything. And this is what I got. And I do think it's really, really cute. But it doesn't look like that potato-shaped chicken in that photo. So it's now punk chick.
I call it punk. I love the Mohican.
But that was the comb, and that's how they told me to do the comb. But it did come out cute. It was a little fiddly with the beak. I'm not 100% on the beak. So if anybody wants to crochet them, because we'll put the pattern up, if anyone wants to crochet them and tell me if they had the same problem with the beak that I did, let me know. I sort of fixed the beak by sewing in the ends and hiding them in the chick hen. It's supposed to be a chicken, but it's a punk chick. Let me know if you had the same problems. Yes, Mr. T?
Did you, I think the first pattern that it created was in US terms, wasn't it?
Yes, it was in US terms.
So then I got it to create it into UK terms. So it was the UK terms that you used?
Yes, it was the UK terms one I used. Yes. So I thought, well, I'll have a go at it. And I didn't make it as potato-y, but that's the one I ended up with. Can you see it?
Yes, perfect, just there.
Just here.
Now that's a Yarn ChickHen. Pretty cool. Down a little bit.
Hello. Cackle, cackle, cackle.
So that's much closer to what was in the picture compared to the wee punk chick.
Yeah, I think I need to make the body a little bit more potato shaped. But I just couldn't help. I had to make the shaping. That's the road I went down. But so that's that's my version. Okay, and this is the version that the AI made us a pattern for. So it's cute, but it's nothing like, and please, Mr. T, when you do editing, put that photo back up if you can zoom in a little bit.
Oh, I will.
This one's closer, but this one's just, aside from the coloring, nothing like it. I mean, it's cute in its own way. I do think it's absolutely cute. And it does look like a little punk. But yeah, so that's my version, AI's version, and it's just not quite matching. But I am going to have another go at the potato shape.
I mean, it is a great pattern for a little punk chick, but it is not the pattern for what it created on the screen. So AI gets a F for fail. So
I don't think anybody needs to worry about AI taking over pattern writing anytime soon. I think some things are just beyond AI's ken. Speaking of patterns, after Mr. T and I went into town, we had breakfast. And after breakfast, we went on our normal little route of charity shops. And there's patterns, and a lot of these charity shops are usually, you know, vintage, very vintage. Sometimes they're new patterns, but they're usually quite vintage. And every charity shop I went to, nothing, as Dan Does would say, nothing.
Some examples are shown now.
Nothing. 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 So we had fail after fail after fail. Of course, whenever we go charity shopping, we don't always have something specific in mind. Sometimes what we find there, we think, oh, I've been looking for that. But it's always on the back burners. We're never anything specific. But when I go out, I like looking for specific things like anything crochet, yarn related, yarn itself. Sometimes just things I can use in crafts in general. Sometimes, I mean, just something that happens to tickle my fancy that day. And I think, yeah, I could use that. I'm going to have that. But nothing, store after store. We did miss one out accidentally, but I think it's because by then we were just fed up to here. Apart from the one charity shop that we missed, it was a big fail, like I said, and we headed off the high street on into the direction of Denelm. Denelm, is that how you say it? Denelm?
I don't know. Dunelm. I want to say Dunelm in Florida.
That's
but
in Florida.
Dunelm.
Denelm. Anyway, we were headed down that way, and we thought, well, we'll nip into B&M real quick and see if they have anything interesting. Fail, nothing interesting. Not even interesting Easter eggs. Yes, Mr. T.
We did get reduced sandwiches.
Yeah, they were a bit, they should have stayed reduced in the shop. They weren't very good.
You get what you pay for. Hey, it was our lunch cheap.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mr. T got a bargain on our lunch today. So we headed out of there and went over to Denelm. Can't even say it. Denelm. And we went in there, and oh my gosh, they've got all kinds of housewares and stuff. And I'll be honest, we've never went in there. We went in there because there's a couple of YouTubers we watch, Mr. Carrington and Amora, and they both have said about Denelm having wool. So we thought, oh, well, we'll go in and we'll look. And did you get any footage of Denelm when we were in there, Mr. T?
Of the wool section, yes, I did. And here it is in all its short glory now.
Well, we found some super chunky, but not the colours that we need.
Well, as you can see how short that was, there wasn't really much to see. We went in there to get crochet hooks for Pony brand, but I wasn't sure if they'd have the type of crochet hooks we were actually looking for. What we were actually looking for were these. Mr. T, tell me if I'm in camera or not. We were actually looking for these.
Yes, and that's the one that I like to use, or the one I have used.
It's got a little flat bit there, so you flip and flip. Even if you're holding it pencil grip, it's easy to flip around. But they had these ones. They had a set of these ones. And I'll put them so you can see the difference.
Down a little bit. Thank you.
So these are thinner, and it's a shorter handle grip. This is a longer handle grip, although I'm sure there's a lot of people who like this because it's a longer shaft, because the grip is further down, and this is a little bit shorter. But Mr. T has used both of them, and he had a hard time using this one when he was trying to crochet, said it just felt unruly. And this one, because he had the bit to grip onto when he was crocheting, he really, really liked this much, much better. So when we went, I thought sometimes if they have one, they'll have the other, but not Denelm, at least not where we are. And so therefore we didn't end up buying anyway. So again, as far as the crochet hooks are concerned, nothing.
The wool, nothing. The crochet hooks, nothing. But
can you hand me what I did end up purchasing?
Somebody was on a bargain hunt.
But what I did end up walking away with, and I actually went there to get these, although I didn't mention it to Mr. T, so he had no idea. So this is actually a tick. We actually got a green tick, Mr. T, and that's these. They're split ring stitch holders. Because Mr. T has found that these are much easier to use than the safety pin ones. Or the mock safety pin ones, which I don't think I have. Yeah, I do. These. He does not like those.
No.
Too fiddly, too hard to open and close, which I agree. I don't really like them either. I only have them because it came free with something. And I got a bargain. I paid £1 for these, and they're size 12 millimeter knitting needles. So I might make something out of the super chunky yarn.
Put it down a little bit, yeah.
Like that. I'll hold it back a little bit because they are really long. And I thought that was a bargain because I'd been looking for some jumbo needles. So we'll see how these work. I haven't tried them yet. We just got home and I haven't even thought about trying them. But that was my bargain. I got this as a bargain. And then, of course, I knew I was getting these, but I was glad they had them because just because they had it on the internet didn't mean that they actually were going to have them in the shop. Yes, Mr. T.
They look like big drumsticks. Boom, boom, boom.
You're not going to use them as drumsticks. Don't even think about it being funny because you will get hurt.
Okay.
And probably your feelings that get hurt more than anything else because you're so sensitive. So we sort of had a mild success at Dunelm, but that's only because this was on sale and caught my eye. And I got the stitch markers, I can't remember what they call them, split ring markers. And those are really nice because you slide them in and slide them out. But they do stay on. They don't fall off. Our next shop that we wandered into, which happened to be next door, was, what was it called?
Iceland.
Iceland. And yes, just what everybody wants to get at Iceland. I got Emery boards. Woo-hoo-hoo! 50 pence. Woohoo!
Now that seemed a bargain.
But I use these quite a bit, so I thought, yeah, that's a bargain, 50 pence for all those. 28 Emery boards, different sizes. And Easter egg! I got myself an Easter egg.
Thornton's too, which is
It's a Thornton's.
Used to be a good brand. I don't know if they still are.
Well,
there's
we'll find out.
A big thing about chocolate and milk not being in milk chocolate anymore. So
yeah, and you know, I'm not a fan of chocolate at the best of times, And when I came to Britain, I thought, oh wow, their chocolate is fabulous because they used milk in their chocolate. And I know America, we use milk there too, but I don't really know what the difference was. I think it may be more grass-fed cattle, but the milk tastes different here. So the chocolate tastes different. And lately I've been kind of off the chocolate and I haven't really been liking it. And Mr. T, you're a chocoholic. What have you been thinking of the chocolate lately?
Well, it's gone downhill. Cadbury's used to be the chocolate, milk chocolate was Cadbury's. Well, they got bought over in 2011 by some American company. Now they've ditched the milk and replaced with palm oil and all this rubbish. Yeah, it's not
as good.
Not chocolate as I knew it, so I'm back on my dark chocolate. You can't beat that.
So I got the Thorntons because it actually, in the ingredients, shows how much milk they're actually using. So they're using a lot of milk, and the different, so as you can see, there's different little guys there, and they use a lot of milk. So what we're trying to do is when we do buy chocolate, make sure that the ingredients have milk, and you can taste a difference. It's not in your mind. It's not the placebo effect. You can taste a difference. So we will see. But that's my Easter egg for myself. I got for me. Next up is Mr. T's Absolute Beginner's Corner. And that means I want to know, what has your progress been on your practicing crochet and your double crochet stitches, also known as single crochet in the United States?
Well, here we go. School teacher, what do you think?
Ooh, look at that. Can you see this in the camera? Okay, look at that. You're really making some progress. Look at that. Your sides are looking better. Your tension is totally better than it was. You could see when he started though, here, that he got a little tight there and then relaxed out again. But that's really, really good. I like that. I like that a lot. How do you feel now? How do you feel a little more confident?
Closer, we can see. Yes, I like it. I do feel more and more confident.
See, and there's the split ring. And that's the one he left on just to show you that that's what he was using before, and he can't stand them. And then there's his little split ring for his first stitch. That way he knows where his last stitch is if I'm not around. Although to be fair, he loses his mind if I'm not around and suddenly can't crochet. But he's done very, very well. Very well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And that also brings us, since it's absolute beginners.
Yes, we do have a question, which I shall read out. It's on the screen now. So this was a comment from last week's video, which of course was a soap sachet debate. And this is a question from some French dude who says, beginner question. What kind of stitches did you use there? I see you went through 2 loops there, yes? Just asking, since I have a project going, actually lying around for a few years now, which I feel is too flat. And your piece looks a lot thicker. Asking for a muckle galoot. By the way, there's no soup emojis. Muckle galoot, of course, was the Scottish word of the day for last week. Over to you, Mrs. T. How did you answer?
Well, I actually did answer. I thought you were going to read the answer out for me, since I can't exactly remember word for word how I answered. So if you could do that for me, please, I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
I thought I put you on the spot. Johnny on the spot? No, it's Mrs. T on the spot. Okay, I think Mr. T is the biggest muckle galoot. Thank you very much, Mrs. T, is what you answered. Yes, Mr. T went through 2 loops, so the stitch is called a UK double crochet stitch. And I believe the French term is mais serré, abbreviated as MS. Mr. T is also using a chunky or thick yarn, and they recommend to use a 7mm crochet hook. If you look when we make the birds that we put in the last video, you will see how much thinner the yarn is for the birds, and it will look flatter.
Yes.
That was your answer.
And upon reflection, after I answered that, and I thought, you know, it's really hard to answer questions like that when in words, you know, in words only. So what I've done is I've decided to show how if you don't have chunky yarn, you don't have to go out and buy chunky yarn. You know, this was an afterthought after I'd sent the answer and everything. You could use whatever you have to make a thicker yarn so that you can have your thicker stitches. And Mr. T will show you the film that I have made down on the table so you can see an example of how you can make thinner yarn, thicker yarn. I don't normally recommend doing it for beginners because it can be a bit fiddly, but it is a better way to utilize what yarn you already have and not have to go out and spend more money on a new project that you're doing when you can use what you already have. So we'll go down to the table and I'll show you how you can double it up and make stitches with thicker yarn using what you've already got. Okay, so if you're trying to use wool to make it chunky because you only have the thin wool, like this for instance is DK weight wool, which means double knitting. And usually when you're using double knitting wool originally, it was when you were knitting basically 2 panels at the same time, so you got a thicker fabric. And that's why it happens to be thin, because it gives a thicker fabric. But that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But DK is usually short for double knitting. And if you're wanting, and you only have DK and you want to make some chunky yarn, what you can do is you can take both the ends, see if I can get this off of here, both the ends and put them together. Now I know this is caked up and not everybody when they begin are going to have any means of being able to cake up their yarn, but you can do the same thing with a normal bought skein of wool. So you could have it caked up like this, or you could have your ball of wool, because if you look at it, it's still a ball. The way the manufacturers ball it up, it doesn't look like a ball, but it can look like a ball like that. So you've got your outer string, which is from the outside, and then what you can do, and some have an easy middle pull, but some don't, just put your fingers in, and what I'm really doing is this, because sometimes you can catch the loose end with your fingers and pull it out like that. That's what I was doing. And when I felt it wrap around a little bit, I just pulled it out. This is what a lot of people call yarn barf, but we're going to call it yarn fankle, because we're in Scotland, so it's a fankle. The yarn's in a fankle. And if you see that there's only one, so you know that you've got an end in there somewhere, you just straighten it out a little bit. And there's your other end. So you can use the two ends, and this is what they say when you are knitting or crocheting, because this works for both knitting and crocheting. You use the two as one, and I'll show you how you use the two as one. So you go ahead and do a slip knot. Everybody does them different. That's how I do mine. Doesn't matter. That's not the point of the video. So you see you've got 2 loops on the hook, but you're going to treat those 2 loops as one loop. So when you go in, sorry, I like my tail where I can pull onto it. So you're going to treat the 2 strands as one. So you do this, and then you just go in and you do your chain. And if you look, you can see why it's not really beginner friendly. It is something you can do as a beginner, but it isn't very beginner friendly. See, because I've lost one of my loops there. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to do when you're trying to keep your big head out of the way when someone's filming you either. and then there's your chunky yarn. So the 2 DKs will be an equivalent to a chunky. I wouldn't say it's a super chunky or anything, but it's definitely a chunky weight yarn. And that's how you can utilize what you have. Sometimes you can get 3 of these. What you could do is do what you're doing with this ball here, and if you have a third one, you can get one end of that and you can triple it up, and then you have a super chunky. But that's what you can do if you want a thicker wool and you only have the DK, or a thinner wool, because the thinner wool, obviously the thinner the wool, the more you have to use together to make a thicker ply or a thicker weight. Does that make sense, Mr. T?
Perfect.
So I hope that anybody who is a beginner found that helpful. So you don't have to worry about, oh, now I have to go buy bulky yarn because, you know, I already spent this money on this yarn. Let's hope that little video, you've learned something from it. Yes, Mr. T?
And lots of people have yarn hanging around that they don't actually use. So people give stuff things all the time, don't they?
Yes, yes. And sometimes, you know, when you get given a gift, you think, oh, I'll never use that skinny yarn. But if you double it up like I've shown you, you can use it and make it thicker and use it for something that's more suitable to yourself. Were there some more comments, Mr. T?
There was a couple. Miss, I don't know. Mitzi Pentecoff said, Mr. T, that's why I got confused. Mr. T, you did very good for a beginner. When I first started, there was a significant difference in my rows, and stitches were very tight. Keep it up. It does take time. Thank you very much, Mitzi Pentecoff.
And I agree with Mitzi, totally. Mine were horrible. I was wibbly wobbly, and yeah, it was terrible. I'm impressed with how well Mr. T's doing, but sometimes I wonder if it's because I taught myself from books and Mr. T's got guidance as he goes. Could make a difference, you never know.
Yes, well, Mitzi Pentecoff said, I did miss stitches, so I think that's par for the course, isn't it?
Yeah, you've missed a stitch or two yourself. So.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And Mitzi is also Team Soap. And then we got a couple more. Maya T says, hi Mrs. T, we do have a soap sachet over here in Nigeria. I haven't tried one before, but I heard it's real good.
Soup sachet, I thought it was.
Yes, what did I say?
Soap.
Oh, Replay, hi Mrs. T, we do have a soup sachet over here in Nigeria. I haven't tried one before, but I heard it's real good. Is that better?
Yes. That's better.
And then lastly, some French dude again. Ha 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 ha. Okay, got it. Must be the Scottish dialect. And yes, we got soup sachets in France too. Thanks for speaking slowly for this old dude. Big hug to you too.
Thank you. Big hug back.
And there we go. That was from last week's video, soup or soap sachet, the big debate.
Truth about
the
sachets.
Truth. And that's all the comments, Mrs. T.
Excellent. Well, now it's time for the Scottish word of the day. Take it away, Mr. T.
The Scottish word of the day, Mrs. T. Well, I've now tried to find relevant Scottish words of the day to do with a video each week. And I did do it last week, Muckle Galoot, and of course, some of you, looking at the French dude and myself, and you, Mrs. T, it fitted the description perfectly. So today's word is Scunnard. And it's a cracker of a humdinger of a word.
It's the perfect
Scunnard.
word for today.
Yes. It is spelled Scunnerd, and you pronounce it Scunnard, literally Scunnard. And it sums up our day. Basically, our best laid plans were shot to pieces. We didn't get what we wanted. We got knackered. We came home knackered. It was Scunnard. We were Scunnard. Basically, you're being done in after a long day of trying to do something and failing miserably. Scunnard.
Yes. And sometimes I think, as we've been filming this, maybe we scunnard ourselves by missing out that last charity shop. That could have been the jackpot winner, and we didn't go.
Well,
But
we made up for it. You could say we had a great breakfast, which you're looking at now,
oh yeah,
but the shopping left us Scunnard.
yeah,
Nothing.
yeah. That was a disappointment. Yeah. So if you were looking for a big, huge shopping haul, when we said a failed shopping haul, no, it's a failed shopping haul, meaning, 4 bits really, but one of the bits I wasn't actually after. One of the other bits was sort of after, but it wasn't, mandatory or anything. So, well, anyway. Yes, Mr. T.
We knew it was going to fail because we loaded up with shopping bags and everything, and when you do that,
Yeah, we brought our trolley with us and extra large shopping bags because one of the charity shops that we went to, they got donated a lot of wool, loads and loads. The woman, when I was talking to her, she said she wasn't even sure what they were going to do with it all because there was so much. And we went back in, nothing at all. No wool, nothing. Well, if you've watched this far, thank you for watching. And today's emoji, a sad face. Put a sad face. Because we came away empty-handed. And if you could like, comment, subscribe, share, and don't forget the notification bell, we'd totally appreciate it, and it would be in your favor as well, because then you'll know when we put up a new video. Thank you very much for watching all the way to the end, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.